Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vitvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 16 to 20 of chapter 3. Evam pravartitam chakram
Evam pravartitam chakram
Nanuvartayati hayah
Nanuvartayati hayah
Aghayurindriya ramah
Aghayurindriya ramah
Mogham partha sajivati
Mogham partha sajivati
Yastvat maratireva syad
Yastvat maratireva syad
Atmatriptascha manavah
Atmatriptascha manavah
Atmanyeva cha santushtah
Atmanyeva cha santushtah
Tasya karyam na vidyate
Tasya karyam na vidyate
Naiva tasya krite narthah
Naiva tasya krite narthah
Na krite neha kaschana
Na krite neha kaschana
Na chasya sarva bhuteshu
Na chasya sarva bhuteshu
Kaschidarthavyapashrayah
Kaschidarthavyapashrayah
Tasmadasaktah satatam
Tasmadasaktah satatam
Karyam karma samachara.
Karyam karma samachara.
Asakto hyacharan karma.
Asakto hyacharan karma.
Paramapnoti purushaha.
Paramapnoti purushaha.
Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim.
Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim.
Asthita janakadayaha.
Asthita janakadayaha.
Lokasangrahamevapi.
Lokasangrahamevapi.
Sampashyan kartumarhasi.
Sampashyan kartumarhasi.
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So in the last session, we were seeing the intricacies of this phrase, Atmarati. I'm spending some time on this because the context of Atmarati is when a yogi contacts the world. What is his state of mind? What is his inner state? This is most relevant to you because you are in contact with the world. Having been born, you have to be in contact with the world. You may select a few aspects of the world which you want to contact, but it can never be zero. Even if a person, let's say, wants to get away from the city life and all that, he says, let's even go to that extreme where he says, I'll go to a forest and live there in solitude. He's actually not in solitude. Probably other human beings may not be there, but there is nature. There are going to be wild animals, various creatures. He is in contact with some part of the world. This is something which you need to fully understand. The more you think that this world is a problem, you will always remain unhappy. A sthita prajna, a person who has attained that highest state, is not going to go away anywhere. It is his inner consciousness which gets refined and merges with the infinite. He is going to be in the same world only. That is the significance of Atmarati. Even before going into the depth of Atmarati, just the context of Atmarati itself sets your approach right. Because we always think that the world is a problem. We always think people in the world are causing issues. So you tend to blame everyone. You always feel that I am right and everyone else is wrong. My parents are wrong, my friends are wrong, my relatives are wrong. my husband is wrong or my wife is wrong, my children are wrong, they are doing like this, they are doing that. All the time the mind tends to keep thinking like this. If you go to work somewhere, my colleagues are wrong, my boss is wrong, is not okay. Wrong means here is not okay. Have you ever thought about what is wrong with me? Is my approach right? Do I have the ability to handle all these things or not? That is a key question as a sadhak you need to ask yourself. The context of Atmarati, if properly understood, sets your approach right. Spirituality is nothing but an inner transformation, not an external change of circumstances. When you transform yourself internally, incidentally, you get the capacity to also influence your circumstances. You get the ability to choose what kind of experiences you want. But that comes later only. So, a spiritually evolved person, he is functioning in the world like anyone else. But what is his inner state? He is in a state of Atmarati. He is reveling, he is delighting in the self alone. Atmaratihi eva. Eva means alone. So he emphasizes on that. That emphasis is so important. Eva is so important because when you are contacting the world, your mind will run helter skelter. Your mind gets attracted to anything and everything which the world has to offer. And when I say attracted, I am not talking of merely what you like. What I mean by attracting here is your mind gets drawn. So it gets drawn to even what you dislike. See, supposing you dislike something, the mind will constantly keep running towards that. You hate someone, day in and day out, you will be thinking about that person only. So, what is your mind drawn to? Everything which the world throws in front of you, the mind gets drawn to all that. Of course, it's based on its likes and dislikes. Whatever you like the strongest, the mind keeps craving for that. Whatever the mind dislikes very much, the mind keeps thinking about it, wanting to avoid it. Either way, the mind is constantly drawn in the outward direction. It's pulled, as it were. Why I'm saying as it were is actually the mind need not be pulled. You have full control. But because you are not spiritually strong today, the world is coming and pulling your mind. So when the fluctuations of the world happen, your mind also goes through all those fluctuations. It gets affected. When there is a joyous situation, it's jumping with joy. When there is a sorrowful situation, it is completely down with sorrow, depression. Whereas Atmaratihi means one who is very poised, who is balanced when contacting the world. He also goes through all the ups and downs of life, starting from birth till death. Why I am saying till death is because you're more familiar with this life, there is this birth of yours. But if you go further deep, you have many births. So a realized soul goes through all these various experiences, but is always poised. So you should learn to first conceive this, appreciate this, then you will start absorbing that energy. It's a gradual process. Doesn't happen at one go, but it happens in stages. So the opposite of Atmarati is having moved away from the inner self, from the higher self. And how does that manifest? It manifests as attachment, it manifests as aversion, and it makes you complain about the world constantly. If I were to ask you to list down your complaints, you will give a long list, starting from your parents. My mother, these things. My father, these things. Then my friends, so they. Then my colleagues, my relatives, everyone. You will give a big list. That is a clear sign that you have moved away from your higher self. Again, I'm not saying that whatever they did is right, and no, we are not getting into that. But you being so affected by all that, that is the key. When you move away from the higher self, you start getting affected by everything which is happening in the world. When you keep moving towards your higher self within you, again we are talking about the consciousness, then what happens is you get into a state of Atmarati, delighting in the self alone. Your self pleased, content, very balanced. So, as I was telling you in the last week, the word Ratihi itself has this amazing depth. On one hand, Ratihi means rest. That is the primary meaning. The secondary meaning is pleasure, delight. So, unless and until your mind is in a state of rest, you cannot enjoy anything in life also. If your mind is fully stressed, how can you enjoy? You find a partner and then you say, okay, let me get married to this person. All this is fine, but your mind is not at rest. Then there will be some turmoil or other. And the other person's mind is also not at rest. So, two agitated people getting together will increase the agitations. That is why we say that the spiritual sadhana should be the base of your life, should be the foundation. What the other person does is not under your control, but at least you can get into a state of rest. Then you will get the ability to influence the other person in a positive way. You will start having a calming effect on others. It's not about what you say. Sometimes, people they say, okay, I will not say anything, but inside they'll be so agitated. The other person will be able to feel those vibrations, whether they are able to exactly delineate and say these are vibrations, energy and all that, but they'll be able to feel that their subconscious mind will pick up those vibrations. So you cannot act, you cannot fool, however much you're trying, you really cannot do that. In the long run, the inner energy will be exposed. You cannot fake that. You can fake your behavior, external behavior, up to a point. But what is happening within you will create that energy, and that will be picked up by the world. That's why these great masters, they said, the world is a reflection of your mind, because your own energy pattern is being reflected in the world. Everything is there in the world. Happiness, joy, sorrow, good, bad, everything is there. Now, what are you drawn to, or what are you attracting? That is the question. So, this is the deeper science of living. When you don't have all this knowledge, you're just caught up with the blame game. So, you blame the other person blames you. This is an endless process. Because even when this point about rest is being given, how your mind will think is, okay, I get into a state of rest, but the other person is not at rest. Then when you get into a state of rest, when your mind gets into that state, the first thing is you will become so balanced. Then your ability to handle the other person also will increase. In the long run, you will have a calming effect. So that is the meaning of Ratihi. The root is Ram. Ram means to rest, to find pleasure, be in a delighted state. Now, there is also a very deep significance there. See, the word Ratihi, that root of that word Ratihi, Ram, actually gives you a very deep insight into the psychology of your own mind. Whenever you contact the world, let's take a sense enjoyment or any other material enjoyment, what exactly happens? Have you ever observed? You have a desire. I want this. Not ichcha, but we are talking about kama, and that is totally in an uncontrolled state. So you are not happy and you feel that if I get that object, I will be happy. This is how you start off with. That is, your mind is not at the state of rest. It is in a state of unhappiness, and in order to become happy, the mind feels if I get that particular object, I'll be happy. This is the origin of kama, uncontrolled desire. So then you put in all the effort, already you're stressed, then you put in all the effort and somehow or other you get that object. Now you say, my desire is fulfilled, I feel so happy. Now this is where you should carefully observe your own mind. When you say, I'm so happy that I've got it, these yogis are saying it is an illusion. Your mind is actually not in a state of happiness. See, you don't have a car. Now you're so unhappy about it. Then the karma comes, the uncontrolled desire. I want a car. Now you put in a lot of effort and get the car. You feel so happy, so elated, excited, But here, the masters are coming and telling you whatever you're experiencing is actually not happiness. Now you will look at them and say, what are you saying? I was so unhappy and now I'm so happy. And you're saying, I'm not experiencing happiness? Why they are saying that is, before you got that object, you were in a state of unhappiness. Now, having got that object, now that unhappiness has been removed, you have come back to zero position. But with reference to the state of unhappiness, you are calling this happiness. It is not a positive state of happiness. You have come back to zero. Your mind, which was in a negative state, has come back to zero. So, with reference to that negative state, now it is creating an illusion that you're so happy. So, actually, it is not a state of happiness, it is a state of not being unhappy. I want you to carefully understand this properly, because if you understand this, you will truly learn to become happy in life. Every time you're pitching up a desire, you're already in a state of unhappiness, which means from zero, you have moved to the negative state. And then when you get that object, you're calling it happiness. But what is your reference point now? Not zero. It is at negative state. So your mind gets pacified, it again comes back to that state of rest. And you call that as happiness. Now, these yogis were great psychologists. They said this is not enough. You have just moved from the state of zero to negative, again you have come back to zero. But you should learn to experience the positive happiness. This is very difficult to understand. You will have to practically observe your mind. You will have to very deeply think about this. In the Upanishads, they define heaven as nakam. Na akam. That's how it is split. Kam means happiness. Akam means no happiness, which is a state of sorrow. Na akam means no sorrow. That is called heaven, they say. Heaven is a state of what a normal person would say as happiness. Now they are defining heaven with two negatives, by negating two things. So first is kam, happiness. Akam, no happiness, which means sorrow. Na akam, a state of no happiness. We can say no sorrow. So what you are experiencing or what you are calling as happiness is actually not happiness. What you are calling as heaven is actually not heaven. It is only a state of no sorrow. So Ratihi means rest. It also means delight. So when your mind today, when you're caught up with the desire, now when it is going through the delight or pleasure of that object, these yogis are saying actually you're not really enjoying anything. You only come back to the state of rest again, zero. So from zero, you went to negative, the mind was so agitated, and now cessation of agitations is what you're calling as pleasure. That is not true pleasure. You've not yet gone to the positive. I'm actually giving you some points from Mano Tattva. Mano Tattva is a science of the mind, is a wisdom of the manas. If you reflect very deeply on this, this point which is said, now you will learn the secrets of how to become happy. It may take several months, several years also, it does not matter. See, these truths are not things which can be so easily grasped. The most difficult thing for you to understand is your own mind. The most difficult thing for you to gain mastery over is your own mind. You can understand so many things in the world, but to understand your own mind, it needs the power of self-observation. Objective self-observation, a sakshi bhav. It's not so easy. Your observation will get colored. See, supposing you have some fault, some negative quality, let's say, and it is pointed out, listen, you're having this jealousy or you're having this, that itself that itself you're not able to accept. You're not able to see. The ego is unable to accept that. Just one small aspect when it is pointed out. Now to understand the mind in its totality, that needs tremendous objectivity. When you do your daily sadhana, slowly, you will begin to see all these truths of life. So the daily sadhana is so important. You have to maintain consistency in that. To observe your own mind is the most difficult thing. And when you develop that quality, that is when you can truly start understanding what these great yogis are telling you. So they are not against enjoyment. Actually, they are saying get into the state of enjoyment. What you are calling as enjoyment, heaven, is actually not enjoyment. It is only a state of no sorrow. That's why na kam. It's so beautifully worded, a double negation. Ratihi. It means rest. It means delight. So, what you're calling as delight is nothing but just a state of rest. Zero. You went to negative, again came back. But what he is referring to when he says Atmarati is that that person is in a true state of delight. So today you are using the various objects of the world to pacify your own mind. So your mind is so agitated, and then you pick up some object and you try to pacify the mind. It temporarily gets into a state of rest that you're so excited about. You say, I am in heaven and I'm so happy and all that. Again, after a while, the mind gets into a state of agitations. This cycle, this chakra is going on. Now what he's saying here is that this person who is an Atmarati, he is already in that basic state of rest. You require so much from the world in order to get the mind to the state of rest, that too temporarily. But a yogi is in a permanent state of rest. And when you are established in that level, you get the true capacity to enjoy, to be happy, to move in the positive direction. That is what he is calling as a state of Atma Ratihi. The person is delighting in the self alone. So great masters have said it is only a yogi who can enjoy the world. Now, when you hear such statements, you wonder what it is that they are saying. Because our concept, the misconception which people have is that a yogi does not enjoy the world. It is the worldly people who are enjoying. But actually, if you go deep into it, a worldly person does not enjoy. Whatever he is calling as enjoyment, it is only cessation of agitations. But a yogi who is in a state of Ratihi, rest, he gets the capacity to enjoy, to delight. And from where is he getting that capacity? From his own higher self. Because your higher self is a source of bliss, of happiness, of enjoyment. This is what the yogis meant when they said happiness is not outside, it is inside you. The moment that is said, people misunderstand it. Oh, here these masters are saying don't be in the world, don't contact the world. They are not saying all that. They are actually giving the real principle of what is enjoyment. So one who delights in the self alone, it means a person who is who is deriving pleasure from the self, that person alone is truly happy. That person alone has the capacity to enjoy. That's why the word eva, alone, is so important here. All others are are living in an illusion of happiness. That too, whenever the desire is fulfilled only. It's a temporary state. For a while, you feel nice, but that feeling of nice itself is, they are defining it as a state of nakam. If you go deep into the word Ratihi, the root ram, it has the same meaning of nakam. So when you start doing your sadhana on a daily basis, you get the capacity to enjoy your life. But you will never get lost in anything. It is not enough if you get a partner. Oh, now I'm married, sir. Do you have the capacity to enjoy that marriage? You may ask me, sir, what is this capacity? Why is that marriage causing so much of stress? You will have a ready-made answer. You will say, because of the other person. What is interesting is you go and ask that other person, he or she, that person will also say, it's because of this person, pointing at you. Who is right, who is wrong? We are not interested in all that. What is the higher wisdom of life? So your mind is strongly believing all this. And this wisdom helps you to come out of these wrong beliefs. You gain the true clarity. So a yogi is always in a state of rest. So whenever he contacts the world through the Ichha Shakti, now what happens is Ichha Shakti is controlled, disciplined desire. His mind does not take him on a ride, He maintains complete mastery. So when he contacts the world thus, he is able to eke out the pleasure or delight from that experience also. But the whole thing is coming from his higher self, Atman. Atma Ratihi. Now do you understand how deep this principle is? It actually teaches you exactly how you should live your life. This entire ancient wisdom is nothing but the art and science of living only. In the schools, in the universities, whatever degrees you got, they teach you everything about the world, the technical aspects. But this education is not given about your own mind, about how you should live your life. The science of living is not taught. And that is why you're well equipped with the various technical knowledge, but still you're stressed. See, the technology advancement is so high. In spite of that, the stress factor is also extremely high. Why? Because this wisdom is not taught. So you as a sadhak, there is a great opportunity for you to pick up this wisdom and absorb it fully and start living it in your life. Practice and perfect this. Again and again, your mind will keep getting into the illusions. But you will have to combat that with this higher wisdom. So, last week I was telling you the Puranic story about Rati. Rati and Kamadeva, they are partners. So Kama is the desire, uncontrolled desire. Ratihi is the tendency of pleasure. So when Kama and Ratihi are in the raw form, the whole energy is directed outward. But here he says Atma Ratihi. So when you turn your mind inward, the Kama becomes Ichha. So the day you understand that happiness is not there, but it is here within, that moment, Ratihi will become Atma Ratihi. Your Kama will become Ichha. It's not a mere intellectual understanding. From deep within, experientially, when it hits you, that is when the transformation happens. Thereafter, you can freely contact the world. You can go through any experience you want. But your mind will never go out of your control. Many people have put their points. They were amazed at the Puranic reference of Rati Devi and Kamadeva. The significance of that in one's life. I'll give you one more reference from the Puranas related to this only, which will inspire you further. See, there is another story in the Puranas where Shakti took the form of goddess Sati, and she was married to Shiva. And what happened was that her father, Daksha, used to hate Shiva. He said, I am a devotee of Lord Vishnu and I just hate Shiva. Which itself is a meaningless thing, because if you are a true devotee of Vishnu, you will also be a devotee of Lord Shiva and vice versa. If you are a true devotee of Lord Shiva, you will be a devotee of Vishnu, not only Vishnu, of all gods. There is no difference. They are all different manifestations of that infinite formless reality. But sometimes the mind becomes fanatic, So Sati's father was like that. So I'm not going into the full story now, but the thing is that the Sati's father insults Shiva, and that agitates Sati so much that in anger she burns herself. Now once she is burnt to ashes, Shiva becomes so angry and he just pulls out one tress from his hair and he throws it down in anger, and that becomes the fearsome, it takes a fearsome form. And that goes and, that form, he goes and destroys everyone there. After that, Lord Shiva carries the body of goddess Sati everywhere. He is in deep sorrow because Shiva and Shakti can never be separated. That is the deeper meaning of that. The Shiva represents the Adhara Shakti within you, the Adhara, the foundation, and Shakti is a manifested aspect. Those two cannot be separated. And then Lord Vishnu sends his Sudarshan Chakra and cuts Sati into many pieces, and all those are thrown down. And historically they believe that those are the Shakti Pitas, which are there in the world today. And then after that, Shiva went off to the Himalayas into deep meditation. He said, now enough is enough. I'm going back into deep meditation. So there was a demon called Tarakasura. He he did a lot of tapasya. He got a boon that only the son of Shiva could kill him. That is, they were referring to Kartikeya. Now Shiva himself being in deep meditation, he said, I'm not going to come out. So Tarakasura thought that he is invincible. So he went about dominating, ruling all the three worlds. He took all the gods as captives and all that. So Kartikeya had to be born in order to defeat Tarakasura. So what they did was, the gods, they got together and they were devising a plan. So Indra said, the only way is if Shiva has to come out, because Sati had taken the next birth as Parvati, and she was doing all the penance to attract Shiva, the attention of Shiva, but Shiva didn't even notice her because he was so deeply immersed in his meditative state. So how to make Shiva notice Parvati and how to bring that desire in him, that romance in him, it was the most difficult thing. So Indra chalked out a plan. He called Kamadeva and Rati. This is the portion from where it's relevant. Till now I just built the background. If I get into the whole thing and the philosophical significance of all that, now we will go fully away from the verse. So now we are getting into the actual thing. So Kama Deva and Ratihi, they were asked to go and put that desire. That was the role of Kama, put the desire in Shiva. So it's said that they have a sugarcane bow with arrows made of flowers. Each flower there's one. Each arrow has one name. It's all very interesting. They're talking about the psychology of the mind, the different kinds of desires, the different phases of desires have been so beautifully given. Now they are always accompanied by the season Vasanta, spring. These are all symbolic, So they went to the Himalayas and converted the whole Himalayas into a spring-like environment. And then when Parvati approached Lord Shiva to offer her flowers, at that time Kama hit the arrow of desire and it pierced Shiva's heart. And Shiva opened his eyes and he looked at Parvati with a lot of desire. And then he wondered where this desire has come from suddenly. So he searched this side and he observed that there Kamadeva was standing and he got very angry. He opened his third eye and from the third eye with that anger the fire came and fully burnt Kamadeva to ashes. And then the story is that Shiva and Parvati got married. Kartikeya was born. So that is one part. But when Kama was destroyed, Ratihi went into a state of uncontrolled depression. She cried and she prayed to Lord Shiva and Parvati. She said, how can you do this? It is not our fault. We were instructed by the gods to do this. Then Shiva said, don't worry. Everything is happening for a reason. Kamadeva is not fully destroyed. He will continue to exist in a formless state, in the state of Ananga. Ananga means without Ananga, without form. And then he will be born to Lord Krishna in Dwapara Yuga. When Lord Narayana takes the incarnation of Lord Krishna, he will be born to Krishna and Rukmini. Goddess Lakshmi will take the incarnation of Rukmini. And the son who will be born to them, Pradyumna, he will be Kamadeva. So you will get united with him. So this is the story. Now what happened was Rati then took the incarnation of Mayavati and she worked in an Asura's palace. The Asura's name was Shambara. This is all very significant. She was in charge of the entire kitchen. She was the head, the chief there. She used to supervise all the kitchen things and all that. And Pradyumna was born to Lord Krishna and Rukmini. Now when Pradyumna was born, Shambara came to know of the prophecy that the son born to Krishna and Rukmini will be the cause for his death. So he used his Maya powers, Asuric Maya, and when Pradyumna was 10 days old, just a baby, he sneaked inside the palace of Rukmini and Krishna and stole Pradyumna. And he went using his Maya powers, he went on top of the ocean and threw that baby into the ocean. And he was very happy. Now I have killed him, so I've become invincible. But as fate would have it, that baby was swallowed by a very huge fish. And the baby was very safe inside the fish. So some fishermen got hold of that fish and then they saw it's a very huge fish, so we should gift it to the king, Shambara. And they went and gave it to the demon king. And when he saw that, he instructed the kitchen people, he called Rati and said, you can arrange to get this cooked. And in the kitchen, when the kitchen staff cut the fish open, they were all surprised because Pradyumna was there, Kamadeva who was reborn. And at that time, sage Narada appeared there and told Rati the whole thing. Listen, you have taken the incarnation of as Mayavati. Now this is Kamadeva who has been reborn as Pradyumna. And the amazing fate is that he has come into Shambhara's palace only. He is the cause, he is going to be the cause of his death. So you take care of him properly, train him to combat Shambhara, and after that you both will get united. So she took care of Pradyumna, and when he grew up, she taught him all the sciences, the Maya sciences, in order to defeat Shambhara. And then she revealed to him, listen, I am Rati Devi and you are Kamadeva. And so when Pradyumna got a realization of who he was truly, he killed Shambhara, and Rati and Kamadeva were reunited. This is the story part. So what is the significance here? I told you, no, the Kama getting refined and become Ichha Shakti. So that is being so beautifully depicted there. Shambhara literally means one who is a magician who has mastered magic, illusion. Shambha means illusion. So is a demon, asura. Mayavati, she also means one who is a master of illusion. But this illusion is different. She knew the science of what we call as Yoga Maya or Mahamaya, which is the illusion of knowledge or wisdom. Both are illusions only. Avidya Maya is also illusion, that is the ignorance, the illusion of ignorance. Vidya Maya or Mahamaya, that is also an illusion. Because some people ask this question, if the whole world is an illusion, isn't Bhagavad Gita also an illusion? Yes, but this belongs to Vidya Maya. And this has the capacity to combat the illusion created by ignorance. That is why we study all this. So Pradyumna is interesting. Pradyumna, the literal meaning of Pradyumna, pra means intense. Dyumna means radiance, light, intellect. So Pradyumna means intensely radiant with the light of wisdom. His intellect had this higher wisdom. So earlier, Kama, when he was in the raw form, Kamadeva, that represents an uncontrolled desire. Now Pradyumna represents desire ruled by the higher wisdom, the light of the higher buddhi, which is what is Ichha Shakti. So Kama had become Pradyumna, Rati had become Mayavati, one who has conquered the illusions. She had gained the wisdom. So both of them had become refined. So that is the reference to Atmaratihi. Mayavati represents Atmaratihi. So in order to combat Shambhara, who is Shambhara? Shambhara is the ego within you. The ego wields the asuric Maya, the illusion of ignorance. And in order to combat that, you need to equip yourself with this higher wisdom. See, remember, this Puranic story is a depiction of what is happening within you only. Mayavati represents the Guru Shakti within you, who teaches you how to combat this illusion of ignorance by equipping you with knowledge, with wisdom. With that, you can combat. I'm not even gotten into the full details of how exactly Pradyumna kills Shambhara and all that also we can leave out. But this basic structure of the story gives you this entire philosophy. From from the Puranas here and there, wherever it's relevant, I'm taking those portions and giving you that wisdom so that you understand the richness of our yogic wisdom. If you merely read these as stories, they will make no sense. Many so-called intellectuals, they criticize, oh, what is this Kamadeva, Ratihi? But if you go into the depth of it, use the yogic approach and understand all this in the truest sense of the term, that's the work of a yogi, to use the yogic approach and disseminate this wisdom in its purest form. So when you receive that, then you will understand the depth of what these masters have given us. This is just one small story in the ocean of Puranas. We are just taking one small portion from one Purana. So many Puranas are there. As I told you, time is so limited. If we were to get into each and every story now, one lifetime may not be enough. That's why we are directly getting into the principles. And then wherever required, I'm giving you references, I'm also giving you the related Puranic incidents, so that your wisdom gets reinforced. So what is important is not these stories, these incidents, but what is important is the philosophical principles, the higher principles of life which is being conveyed through these Puranas. Here it is being conveyed in a raw form directly. In the Puranas, the same truths are given in an indirect way. A nice story full of incidents is given, and some of these stories may be given in an exaggerated way, because then only it will become interesting. But ultimately, they are revealing the same truths only. So you have this force, karma, within you, the desires. They are uncontrolled today. You will have to convert karma into ichha shakti. You have Ratihi within you, Rati Shakti. That is the power of pleasure, the tendency to seek pleasure. Now Ratihi has to be converted into Atmarati. So in Pradyumna was a personification of Ichha Shakti. Mayavati was a personification of Atmarati. See how beautifully they have given out in the Puranas, I know now I'm going to get a lot of questions, sir, can this story, that story, you will be asking me to reveal those truths. That is an endless process. So as we go along, wherever it's relevant and required, I'll definitely throw some light. Okay. So one who delights in the self alone, Atma Ratihi Eva. This is the first aspect. Now, let's see what is the second aspect. Is satisfied by the self. Atma triptaha. So Atma Ratihi is used in the context of contacting the world. When a person is contacting the world, what should be his state? Now, Atma Triptaha is in the context of when that person is alone by himself or herself, what will be the inner state? That is Atma Triptaha. If you go to the meaning of Triptaha, again, satisfaction, same meanings only will be given, but the context is different. One word is used when the person is contacting the world, that is what is his inner state. Other is when he is not in contact with the world, what is his inner state? Is there any difference? Is there any disturbance? He says no. There also he is fully balanced, satisfied. When he is all alone by himself also, he is in a perfect state of balance. The word used is triptaha. Atma Ratihi and Atma Triptaha. Next, we'll be seeing Atman Eva Santushtaha. That also. See, all these three essentially mean the same thing only, but according to the context, the emphasis changes. So, in Ratihi, the emphasis was on delight, pleasure. In Atma Triptihi, the emphasis is on satisfaction. If you ask me, sir, can you really be in a state of delight when you're not satisfied? No. That is a very deep meaning. But when we are understanding these things in depth, if you can if you can differentiate it like this, it will give you a better insight of your own mind. That's what he is doing. So when it comes to satisfaction, what can give you satisfaction in life? If I were to ask you, are you satisfied? You can never say 100% yes. I'm sort of satisfied, but I want this, I want that. If I get all that, then I'll be satisfied. But you get all that, now your mind will pitch up another 10 things. This is the play of karma. The real satisfaction in life comes from your own higher self, Atman. You may have so much in life, you may have a lot of wealth, you may have a lot of power, name, fame, everything, but you can never get the satisfaction from all these things. True satisfaction comes only when you merges, when your consciousness merges with that infinite God principle within you, the Atman within you. So, in the first part, we saw pleasure or delight, happiness, all these things are actually lying in the Atman. Now, what we are going to see is that satisfaction also lies here only. So, a person whose mind is turned inward, that person will become supremely satisfied. Anything is given to him, he will approach life with full satisfaction. Today, you're never satisfied. Your mind is always in a state of agitations. How much ever wealth you get, you're still not satisfied. How much ever love, emotions you get from the other person, you're not satisfied. How do you become satisfied with all these things? You have to turn inward. This doesn't mean you will not acquire wealth, or doesn't mean you will not relate to people. Again, don't get confused there. That is why Atmarati was covered initially. How much ever wealth you want, you can acquire. Whatever relationships you want, you can form. You can grow in your career. All these things are fine. But ultimately, in life, why are you doing all these things? To become satisfied. That satisfaction is already there within you. So, what these great masters are saying is first get into that state of satisfaction, happiness. Then, in that state, you contact the world, get whatever it is that you want. It's a very powerful state. Atma Triptaha. So, we'll stop with that here. In the next session, we will go into the depth of what Atma Triptaha is. After that, Santushtaha is also there. Because I gave you the Puranic references, Ratihi, who is Ratihi, how Atmarati, and then Kamaha, Icha Shakti, all that I had told you. Now, here he is dealing with a higher Shakti, the same Shakti only, but which is taken a further higher form. So, all that we will see, because then this whole wisdom of your own self actually will start intensifying. So, we will see all that in the next session. So, before we do the Nididhyasana meditation, I will take up one question. Dear Yogishri, here is my question. Before I go to the question, one good thing is this question has been asked by Deepak. Now, he has put his points separately in the comment section and then his question in a separate, as a separate comment. So, this is a good approach because it is easy for me also to locate the question. Otherwise, if you're giving 10 points in the somewhere in between you put your question, that can get lost, So, this is a good approach. So, dear Yogishri, here is my question. You have mentioned in the past that the future cannot fully be determined even by a yogi because every human being, Manava, has a choice of action. But yesterday, I think he's talking of 2 sessions back, but yesterday and in some other context before, you have mentioned how yogis can predict certain future events. Example, yesterday you mentioned how yogis can tap into collective consciousness to feel the energy of any event, past or future. Few weeks ago, you mentioned about impending challenging times for the world. You're referring to, I think, before the Yoga Sankirtan empowerment I had mentioned, how times we're going to face a lot of challenges now. That's why that in the Yoga Sankirtan empowerment, a special energy was given, strength, So my question is as follows. Is it the case that future events can never be determined to the dot because of the human's choice of action, but can be estimated with a high probability based on a yogi's prediction of future energy patterns? If so, does every future prediction have some chance of being wrong? Or am I missing something? With lots of gratitude for your constant guidance. It's a beautiful question which you have asked. I'm taking this up because it's so relevant. to what we are studying here. So, if future, in one context, I said nobody can predict the future. Another context, I'm saying yogis, can tap into the energy and they can know what is happening in the future, what's going to happen in the future. So, how do you reconcile all this? It is actually very simple. Both these statements are correct. Nobody can predict the future exactly, even a yogi. But at the same time, a yogi can project and tell you what can happen in the future. Mark my word, Kev, what can happen, not that what will happen. How? What is future? I'm talking from a relative standpoint. What is future? Future is nothing but the continuation of the past modified in the present. So, supposing, let's say, a person doesn't have knowledge of something, that is the past. So, he is ignorant about, let's take AI, artificial intelligence. He is totally ignorant about AI. This is the past. This is coming from the past. Now, today, he puts an effort to learn AI. So, what will be his future? His future will be the continuation of the past modified in the present. So, in the future, he may become an expert in AI. But in the present, if he doesn't put any effort to learn about AI, then whatever the past is will continue into the future. So, his ignorance about AI will further increase. This is a very simple example I am giving. So, this capacity to modify in the present is what is called the choice of action, which everyone as a human being has. But every human being also comes with a past that is called prarabdha, destiny coming from the past. That is those choices the effect of those choices which you made in the past. So, what happens is a yogi, when he penetrates into the energy of the past and sees a very strong past, now he knows that even if you put in a lot of effort today, it's going to take a certain while for you to neutralize your past and change the future. He'll be able to project the past and say, for a while, this is going to happen. It is, as you rightly said, probability only. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna uses the same principle. He tells Arjuna, you're crying for all those people who are standing here that you're going to kill them, but consider them as already dead. They will anyway lose the war. How is he predicting that future? It's very simple. He has the ability to read their karmas, what karmas they did in the past. So it has come to such a stage where any amount of effort can be put in now, but still the past is so strong that it's going to take them to that result. For them to exercise their present choice of action in a positive direction, yes, they can do that. But one choice may not be able to neutralize the whole thing immediately. So he is able to predict the future based on the force of the past. But as you rightly said, no prediction can be 100% true. That is why I keep on telling you, once you've gotten into the higher sadhana, the yogic way of life, now don't see your horoscopes and all that. Because your horoscope represents the karmas with which you were born. But after that, now you're doing the sadhana, which means your consciousness. See, that is one level of consciousness. But now your consciousness is going into different other dimensions. So your karmas will change. You're actually rewriting your horoscope every moment when you start doing sadhana. So you get the power to create your life. This is the yogic secret. So a yogi has the power to get into the collective consciousness and see what's happening. So the trend is this way. Like in stock market, they predict the trend, no, but nobody can say for 100% this will happen. But it's a kind of a probability. That is what is called as a prediction. So if you understand it in the right spirit, which you have understood it, there is actually no confusion. As far as you're concerned as a sadhak, it doesn't matter what your past is. Don't worry about the past. Don't think about the future also, because future is nothing but what you're going to do in the present now. Start modifying your past using your choice of action now. Modify it in a positive way. Sometimes the past can be very strong, so the net effect may still be negative, it doesn't matter, but the negative energy will start reducing, and soon you will be able to neutralize the entire past. Okay, it's a very beautiful question which you asked. If you have any further doubt also, you can ask me. Now we'll do Nididhyasana meditation. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, I am becoming more and more relaxed. Feel the divine vibrations. With every breath, I am going deeper and deeper within myself. Beyond my physical body, beyond my pranas, beyond my emotions and thoughts, lies my real self, my higher self is infinite and divine. From this moment onwards, I choose to do my daily sadhana with utmost sincerity and consistency, and merge with my higher self. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Wriggle your fingers, your toes, open and close your palms a few times. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. And cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, your cheeks, forehead, the top of your head, the back of your head, your neck, and slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So we had a very powerful session today. These are all extremely deep principles. Reflect on these principles. They'll help you to understand yourself better. They'll help you to understand your life better. And this question which was asked today about future prediction and all that, very relevant. Don't get caught up with all that. Let not your focus be on what is going to happen tomorrow. Let your focus be on what am I to do today? What am I to do this moment? That is how a yogi approaches life. Okay? So I'll see you in the next session. Thank you very much. Hari Om.